This is not a simple one-line sort of visit though. This
Never is.
So
We're done. We've got all 3 flavours. I've not done which. They're good. This is going to be as close as I can get you all to a commercial job on YouTube. And I'm going to show you what I can. It won't be a commercial job, obviously. I can't show you that. What this is going to be is an actual real test shoot. Not a YouTube test shoot, not a here, let me teach you something test shoot. This is going to be exactly how we get the work done. And this is something I've not shared on YouTube before. I've shared shoots where we've turned it into YouTube videos, but this is me actually full on only focused on getting the job done. Now today's the day before, and yes, I've left this too late. So what I'm currently doing is painting grey sets. I don't have all the coloured backgrounds I want, but if we get them in grey, we can just flip the colours in post. And that's good enough for me. We're going for mid-grey because I want to be able to light it without worrying about it going white, because that's a pain in the arse. I don't want a dark grey because it'll be too muddy. So mid-grey, it's nice, it's all right. I've got a tiny foam roller, foam rather than cloth, it's better. And we're going to get painting. Now, my aim today, because test shoots are expensive, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time having crew in here who cost me money whilst I'm faffing around. So I would like to get, ideally, best case scenario, some form of initial setup done. So I'm going to paint the props. We're then going to get the products ready. And I want a rough plan, which of course I will change on the day entirely. You know, I'm sure we won't stick to any of it, but I want to have the plan in place, ready to go. Just so we've got a starting point. I don't want to come in tomorrow at 9 and be like, right then, what shall we do? Now in my head, I have a vague idea. The whole theme of this shoot, what is tying it together, is bubbles. Bubbles is the theme. Bubbles is the vibe. Bubbles are what we're shooting. It's the story. It's the narrative. The product we put in here is almost irrelevant as long as bubbles tie it together. I want extreme colour and vibrancy. But I also want the product to be set on a plinth which is neutral. So the grey plinths that I've already painted, they're going to remain grey. They're going to stay that way. We're going to light it to look epic. We're going to compose it to look epic. Now, so far, I've not really thought much more about it. So come along with me for the creative process and the shoot. And if we're lucky and we do a good shoot, the post-production. Let's dive in. So this is the first coat done. We're going to bang the heaters on, dry this out for an hour, do another coat on everything, especially the backgrounds. They're looking a bit blotchy. And then take all the paint off our hands and crack on with the actual products we're going to be shooting.
So this is me just sorting out the props. So obviously went to the shops, bought loads of everything, because when you buy stuff from the shop, they've been battered, scratched, scuffed, the stickers aren't perfect. But because it's a test shoot, we don't have the budget to actually buy blank bottles and blank labels. It's really expensive to get that done from a client. Even for the client themselves, it costs them an absolute fortune. And like I said, one of the key things in this is saving money, because test shooting is expensive. So what I've tried to do here is get myself, do all the setting up I can do by myself, basically. If I don't need an assistant to do it, I've made sure I don't have an assistant to do it. Getting the camera on the stand, making sure tether's working, that we don't need to update the software, getting the room roughly laid out. We didn't get every light out. Obviously, this light, I need a key light here, get the big light in place, take some phone calls from Pete, and, you know, get my Roomba going, clean the room. This is just time saving. It's one of those things you have to be really on as a photographer, because once you've got a room full of people, it's a lot of money in the room, and every minute is just burning cash, which is not something we can do in this climate. So very important. And yes, I walk and talk when I'm on the phone. I'm sure I'm not the only one though. step one of every single shoot, whether it's a test shoot, a commercial shoot, whatever it is give everyone coffee. Get breakfast in, get coffee in, make sure everybody has what they want to perform well. Obviously, we're running tight budgets and test shoots, but on a commercial job, there's always breakfast for every crew member. There's always coffee and tea. I think we just had coffee on this one. Maybe I was a bit stingy. Maybe I should have pulled out the treats and stuff. But we did have sweets. We did have biscuits before, you know, ordering in lunch and all the rest of it. But this is where it's really important for me to know what it is I'm trying to achieve. I had a very clear plan. I wanted a grey plinth and a coloured background. We didn't know the colour for sure, so we shot on grey so we could flip it in post. This just allowed for more options, and also if we're ever doing a treatment in the future for a client and they need green stuff, we've got green. If they need blue stuff, we've got blue. Doesn't matter. It keeps that flexibility there. But we had to light the plinth perfectly and light the bottle perfectly because they were being done in camera, and the grey of the plinth would be the grey that we'd have outside of it. So Bav's the chap on the computer over there. He's making sure everything's sharp, focus is good and all the rest of it. With 100 megapixels, you cannot afford to miss focus. There is no room for error. You'll also see I'm jumping in, I'm sorting out lights, I'm doing stuff that I wouldn't do on a job. You know, on a commercial job, I wouldn't be putting a light on a light stand. That'd be up for an assistant. But I've only got one assistant, one digi/assistant. My agent Karen's in here as well. She's just overseeing things to make sure we're getting what we need to get the work that we want to be getting. Taking a pretty picture is pointless. What we need to do is be taking a good image of something that is going to get us work in the future. Now, I build my lighting quite simply. I made sure we've got the main key light on my bottle and the exposure I wanted. And then we started lighting the background to balance it. So that's the two soft boxes on the grey. We needed that to be nice and even because the glow from that grey background is coming back through the bottle. And that's what's giving us the look we're getting. I'm just adjusting the boom on there for everybody, getting it in place, you know, making sure it's all exactly where we want it. Camera settings are dialed in beforehand. We know the depth of field. We do a few adjustments with composure. Yeah, that's the right word for it. Composure, there we go. Doing a little bit on the movements with the camera. Just keeping it all in check, really. And it's constantly going back to the computer to check the image. Is it better? Is it worse? What if we do this? Can we try that? There's a lot of play in a test shoot. This doesn't happen on commercial jobs. We'd know exactly where it's going before we eat. Well, before a commercial job, I'd know what's going on anyway. That was me just running off with a bronco ahead because we blew up a fuse and I didn't realise I'd already got loads of spares. But there we go. So we've brought in another light from the back right with a grid on it. That is just to add a little bit of a kicker on the side. And it's almost to give the bottle that I've been cut out and stuck on look. And now we're just adjusting the background lights to allow for that light to happen. We've got the main lights off, trying to get the modelling light going so we can see what's actually happening. Personally, I prefer the lights being off in the studio. I like this nice cool blue look. It works for me. You can see more C stands coming in. This is some flags. This is where we're trying to add black lines in places, white lines in others. This is us crafting the shadows and highlights of the bottle. So it's still the one key light. That's what's lighting the bottle. Everything else is either background or glow. And we're just slowly building the set. You know, it's not a quick thing. It's not like a let's do this and this. It's a problem solving issue. We don't know what the bottle is going to respond to. There's no like off the peg lighting setup we can do here because every bottle is different. I mean, within the same brand, they're pretty similar. But then you have problems with the liquid and the viscosity and the colours and all the rest of it, so it can look different as well, and we'd have to make slight adjustments. We've added another backlight, and this one here is for the plinth. So we're going to need to flag that off, which is why the cinefoil's coming out, and we're like wrapping it. We're trying various approaches to get what we want. There's a million ways to do anything, you know. It's the same with Photoshop. There's like a million ways you can do it, and we're trying to find the best method to get it right for this particular shot, which still allows us to do the bit we're going to do at the end, which is blowing bubbles into it, because this shoot is all about bubbles. Bubbles are the theme. The theme is not fairy liquid. The theme is not a plinth. It's bubbles. Bubbles is king. This is the only thing we want here are the bubbles. So we've got to light everything in accordance to that. Now, what you've seen is lighting it for a bottle, but in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, when the bubbles come through, are they going to be we're going to be able to catch them? Can we get a flash duration to actually show all of that? You know, that's what matters.
Nice. Sharper? Not much.
It's just slightly.
you go.
It's not far off.
That's in there, because either side of it's out. The grooves look pretty sharp. Is that
That's
exactly?
definitely much sharper.
Yeah. How's the label now?
Oh, yeah, I think it done.
That looks sharp to me. Perfect. Okay. Let's zoom out for the whole picture. Let's see what it looks like. I don't like. Right. Don't like the plinth so much. Could we get another head out and another light stand? I need to light the back of that plinth.
So as you just heard, I've got some qualms. I've got some quarrels going on with the plinth. I didn't like the lighting we're getting, so we needed to adjust it slightly. Now you'll notice often I do a screen recording of what we're capturing whilst we're shooting, but because this was a proper shoot and we're shooting fast, we just don't have the computing power or the will to have an extra app running in the background whilst we're shooting, because we've got to get the shots right. And this is why we don't do it on we don't often share this sort of thing. But we'd got it right, and now what we're doing is we've marked the plinth where the perfect bottle was, and we're changing bottle by bottle because there's 3 different flavours. Don't eat the fairy liquid, but there's 3 flavours, 3 scents, and we want a shot of each. And we're getting a bubble on the top, some bubbles on the side, and some bubbles being blown around. So we've got lots of options. We've got options for GIFs, we've got options for stills. Whatever it is we may want to do, we've got the option. And that's really important because a lot of these things are shot for treatments, and we need to have that versatility. So when we're pitching, whatever it is they want, we've got it. If they want bubbles, we've got bubbles. If they want no bubbles, we've got no bubbles. On a different coloured background, we've got different coloured backgrounds. And one of the most difficult things on a shoot, and the reason why you need crew, is because the decision-making process is so important and so fatiguing. I've got to make sure it looks exactly how I want it to look. I've got Karen with me helping me. She's making sure that what I see is actually what I want as well. She's my second pair of eyes. You know, Bav looks at the technical side of things, and Mark's helping me get everything absolutely set up correctly, lit correctly, you know, spotting issues I might be missing, because I've got to keep that whole big picture in mind. I've got to make sure that everything is as I want it to be. Now, a lot of this is trial and error, so this is all coming up to 1 p.m. now, you know, with the whole of these 3 bottles is only the morning of the shoot, but it's a lot of work considering it is the same shot over and over again. There is a clock behind the big grey paper thing, but I think the battery went flat about 2 years ago, so not much use to show you the time, but it was plentiful. You know, we filmed a good 2 terabytes of footage from the static camera on this day. And yeah, it's just having the patience and knowing that you have to keep going. A lot of people, they get to the difficult part of the shot and they just switch off. They just turn it off. They just go, oh, you know what, it's close enough. I can't get it. It's done. Being a professional means knowing that you need to keep going, keep adapting, keep alternating the actual approach you're doing until you find what works perfectly. And once you've got that, that's when you can be like, yes, right, now we can move on. Or we can make it a bit better, but it's going to take this much more time. Is it worth the investment in time for a better photo? Often not. Often what we have is good enough, and we do not need to put that extra time in just to make it a little bit better. A little bit better is great from a hobbyist point of view, but from a professional point of view, good enough is good enough, and that's what we're shooting for here. So I'll leave you with the rest of this bit of time lapse before we dive in again.
That, yeah.
Look at that one.
Lovely.
That double too. Cool.
Perfect.
Excited about bubbles?
Right then, that's fairy liquid done. We've got all 3 flavours. I've not done the original one. We won't bother because I've already got one that I shot for another ad campaign.
Yeah.
We've got gifts, we've got fills. So here's the shot so far. Got the camera here with the 65mm, an extra flag just here to stop some haze coming in from these background lights. That's our view from the camera. And above it we've got a flag at the top and a flag at the side to draw some dark lines. Key light coming in from overhead. This light back here is just to help with the plinth. Then on this side, the gridded light up here just comes through to add a bit of a catch onto the cap of the bottle. And then we've got 2 lights just lighting the grey background through softboxes.